What is going on, Pats Nation? You guys already know who it is. Patriots Global back here with another video, and the New England Patriots are starting their free agency frenzy just a little bit early, just a few days early from when free agency does officially begin and the new league year begins, signing offensive tackle and former Pittsburgh Steelers offensive tackle Chukuma Okorafor. Now, with that being said, I have tried making this video and this intro alone about 10 different times, and I always mess up on the name. So I feel pretty confident that's how you say it. If I'm wrong, you guys can let me know in the comment section below. But Pittsburgh Steelers fans would refer to him as Chuck. So for the rest of this video, we're going to refer to him as Chuck. And for the rest of his career here in New England, we're going to refer to him as Chuck. But we're going to hop into this video today. But first, got to roll that Patriots Global intro. Now, look, let's just answer the glaring question that I know probably half of you have already commented. How come the Patriots are making free agent signings when free agency, the new league year, hasn't even begun? How is that possible? And that's because Chuck here was released by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Just like Russell Wilson was released by the Denver Broncos, those guys were not expected to hit free agency in March. They were still signed under contract by their respective teams. Because ultimately they were released, they are immediate free agents that don't have to wait for the new league year to begin. If you look at instance for the Patriots free agents, guys like Kyle Duggar, Josh Uche, right? Those guys, Michael Onwenu, those guys are still technically signed under contract for the New England Patriots until the new league year officially starts on March 13th. So with that being said, you cannot technically talk to free agents that are pending free agents until they officially are not signed under contract by their respective teams. It's the same reason that any of the billion players that the Buffalo Bills just released, those guys could sign literally right now if they wanted to. They don't have to wait till next week. But hopping into this video, so Chuck is going to be 27 in August. He is still fairly young. He was originally drafted in 2018 as a third-round pick out of Western Michigan by the Pittsburgh Steelers. So he's spent a few years in the NFL at this point, spent his entire rookie deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers and then some. The reason that the Pittsburgh Steelers released him, because I know that's another question we're going to get. If he's so good, why do they release him? The reason that they released him is because Chuck wasn't really happy with how he was utilized last season or kind of how it was played out. He has 59 career starts with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but he was replaced by first-round pick in just last year's draft in 2023, Broderick Jones over on the right side, replacing Chuck at about early to mid-November. Chuck obviously wasn't happy being replaced. He wasn't happy with the Pittsburgh Steelers organization, and they just ended up releasing him. Okorafor, though, is really everything you want in an offensive tackle. If you build an offensive tackle in a lab, or if you just look at a picture and say, that's the guy I want, Okorafor is going to be that guy because he is an absolute mountain of a human. At 6'6", 320 pounds, you're building a guy in the lab, like I said, Okorafor is the guy that you're ultimately coming out with. And I'm sure that this is a move that Pittsburgh Steelers fans aren't exactly necessarily happy about, but it's just kind of that odd man out situation, right? You have Broderick Jones, who you drafted in the first round. He was going to have to start somewhere. The rest of their offensive line is pretty much figured out. So when it comes to Chuck, unfortunately, it kind of came down to where are you going to play? You know, you're a guy that's essentially going to come in, be a swing tackle, be a depth piece. You're going to be the next man up if our tackles go down. But unfortunately, due to circumstances, you just aren't going to be a starting offensive line on our team. And he didn't like that. Again, that's ultimately why he got released. The two sides just were not on the same page. But he had signed a pretty decent contract extension, like I said, not too long ago. He had signed a 3-year, $29.2 million contract extension back in 2022. Now, while he started in 59 total career games, he has 77 total NFL appearances in which he's put up 3,938 snaps on offense to go along with another 220 on special teams. This is a guy that both in his NFL career, but also in college, he was mainly a right tackle. He does have a little bit of experience playing over at left tackle, but ideally, that's not where you're going to put him. And I know that a lot of people, a lot of Patriots fans, they hear offensive tackle and they say, well, he's mainly a right tackle, but can we place him over on the left side? He has slight experience there, but if you want to get the best out of him, that's ideally not where he's going to play. And he also was reported as an eligible tight end at times. So he's lined up in many different offensive formations. But again, coming here to New England, I expect him to play on the right side. Before we continue on today's video, though, talking a little bit more about Chuck, what he brings, what were his statistics like this past season, and ultimately the outlook, and what does this mean for somebody like Michael Onwenu? We're going to be talking about that, but real quick, I want to give a massive shout out to the sponsors of this video over at Aura. Hey guys, sorry to cut the video real quick, but I had a very important question that I had to ask you, and that is, have you ever Googled yourself, or maybe a friend, or maybe a family member Googled themselves and saw their private information being used? Maybe like their name, their phone number, their social security number, their address, maybe their credit card information? God knows I have, and the only reason that I was able to find that and take care of it was because of today's sponsor over at Aura. So what Aura is an identity protection service. And what they do is they go ahead for you so you don't got to do the hard work, and they scour the internet for any of your information being used illegally that you didn't want them to use. The other great part is that they'll monitor your credit. They'll see if your phone number is being used to robocallers, which if you don't know what those guys are, they're essentially the ones that call you about 5 times a day and absolutely annoying the heck out of you. And then sometimes when you do answer, it's just a creepy breathing voice on the other end. I mean, just today alone, I got about 6 of those. Because little do you know, these data brokers are actually trying to sell your information to robocallers, to spammers who are trying to find out your own personal information, such as where you live. So what Aura will do is they'll essentially send you an email or notification saying that, hey, someone's trying to use your phone number. Someone's trying to access this information about you. Do you want us to delete it from the web? In which I would expect you to say, yes, get rid of it. Unfortunately, in today's society, a lot of threats that we all face on a day-to-day basis come online, and unfortunately, the scary part is that we can't always see it. Aura's going to come in, protect you, protect your family from threats that we can't see and we don't even know are coming. And there's a lot of different websites out there that do identity protection, credit monitoring, all that good stuff, but there's no website that does it all bulked up into one in one place. You're not paying for several different subscriptions on different websites. It's all in one place, and they're able to cut that bill down for you in more than half. Because of Aura, the days of you having to get an antivirus or a password management or a VPN are officially out of the door because they're going to do everything for you in one space. So hey, look, you guys can go right ahead and let people exploit your own private information, or you can go to the link in the description box below and pinned in the comment section below to go ahead and sign up for your 14-day free trial over at Aura. Yes, guys, go ahead and check out Aura. It seriously does help support the channel massively when you guys go ahead and sign up for that free trial. And it is a massive, massive benefit for you and peace of mind. So why would you not want to do that? But getting back here to my big man, Chuck, here over on the right side, new offensive tackle for the New England Patriots. This past season, he was penalized 8 times. And that might sound a lot. And it is for a guy that didn't even start the entire season, but this guy is an absolute dog. He has that dog mentality. He starts as soon as the play begins, and he does not finish until the play is whistled dead. And that's the type of mentality I want, especially on the offensive line. Guys who are just having that dog mentality. You know, guys like David Andrews, they have that mentality. Guys like Cole Strange, they have that mentality. And now my boy Chuck, potentially playing on the right side with that mentality. Offensive line is already set up for more success than it was this past year. But in terms of pass protection, he did allow 2 sacks, 0 quarterback hits, and 9 hurries. So those really aren't too bad of statistics considering he only started, I want to say, about 7 or 8 games total. So not. Now, in terms of his PFF grades over the last few years, This past year, he put up an overall grade of 60.4, a pass blocking grade of 60.7, with a run blocking grade of 62.6. In 2022, an overall grade of 61.2, pass blocking grade of 62.8, and a run blocking grade of 55.7. Overall, he's been pretty consistent with like the type of play he's had from a year-to-year basis. It's not like one year he's going to be all pro and the next year he's going to be a scout team offensive tackle. It's pretty consistent with the guy you know you're going to get. And then lastly, here in 2021, put up an overall grade of 63.6, a pass blocking grade of 63, and a run blocking grade of 65.9. Overall, what I expect from this move is going to be a guy over on the right side that is going to be really hard to move off his stance and is going to have some inconsistencies, but he's overall going to be better as a run blocker more than he is going to be overall as a pass blocker. And that's not to say he's a bad pass blocker, but I think he's a better run blocker than he is a pass. And now is the glaring question that all of you, I'm sure, have. Does this mean Michael Onwenu is not back in New England next year? That's not what this means, okay? This is not expected to have any effect on the Michael Onwenu situation. Now, look, at the end of the day, that doesn't mean Onwenu is going to be back here next year, but whether he is back here or whether he's not back here will have absolutely no effect on Chuck ultimately signing here in New England. The Patriots do not just need starters amongst their offensive tackles on both sides, but they also need depth. They need swing tackles. They need guys that they can have for several more years once these guys potentially retire or move on into free agency. You always have to have guys behind your starters, and New England, when it comes to tackle, pretty much needs everything from top to bottom. What I see Chuck coming in here to do is mainly to ideally be a swing tackle. Okay, ideally, this isn't a guy that you're plugging in and being your starter for the next several years. If ultimately he does have to start for New England, though, over on the right side is where I'm comfortable with. And if he does have to start for New England, I would say he's about an average, maybe slightly above average, but I lean more so to the average kind of category of play that he's ultimately going to give you. He steps in and immediately is better than any of the offensive tackles that the Patriots had this past year, whose names weren't Trent Brown and were not Michael Onwenu. He will step in and immediately be better than Connor McDermott, than who else did we have last? Vidarian Lowe. And not just that too, but the Patriots don't have a lot of tackles, at least right now, currently signed. This will at least give them a guy in body, a body that they can use in camp and somebody that they're going to be able to work around. The Patriots now literally only have Vidarian Lowe, Tyrone Wheatley, who they just picked up the option for, Chuck, who they obviously just brought in. And those are essentially the only offensive tackles that you're looking for next season, mixed with Andrew Stewart. I told you guys before, and I will say it again, the offensive line needs a ton of help, and it's easily a top three biggest need for the Patriots. I put it at their second biggest need after quarterback. But what are your guys' thoughts on this addition? Let me know in the comment section below. Remember to leave a big like on this video and, of course, subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news. I appreciate you guys so much for watching, but most importantly, never forget, go Pats.